Yeah, it sounded great. Great. So I'm going to hand it off now to Rangadevi.
Okay. I was, as always, just trying to, like, struggling to be present, so I'm like, oh, I want to tell this story, I want to say this. But first of all, I'd like to just say that those of you who are regulars might notice that we are missing Kapila, a regular drummer. So at 5:15 this evening, we got a message that he'd been in a motorbike accident. He said nothing is broken. I was thinking, like, when you're north of 45, you're not as optimistic as when you're south of 30. So, like, nothing feels broken today, but I'm not sure about next week, you know. So just keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And I'd like to dedicate this next mantra to him, because he is so rock steady. And we're really, you know, sometimes you have those people in your life who are like, they don't say a lot, but they're just like always there and so strong and so steady. And Kapila definitely functions in that capacity. I don't know, he's probably might be wild and crazy with his friends, but here he just, like, he comes in, he does the job, and then he goes to walk dogs or, you know, whatever. He always has to run off and do something, but, you know, he's a fantastic support. So we miss it. But this exciting weather was kind of reminding me of a story about Krishna that we'll be talking about probably again in November. It takes place then, but India has a rainy season, many of you know. It's usually like right now, May, right?
Starts from June.
Does it start in June? Seriously? Okay. Oh, May is still summer, right? April and May is summer.
Mostly July, August.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, but then by like October, it's over. But once upon a time, when Krishna was on the planet, he did something that very much irritated the god of rain, Indra. And so Indra thought, this whippersnapper, because he just looked like a kid. He didn't think, like, this is my boss, Lord Vishnu, you know, having a really good time in the form of a kid. But he was like, who is this kid? He's just, like, you know, flaunting my authority. So he thought, I'll show him. And he gathered together his most ferocious agents, that, like, you know, the clouds of devastation, to pour down this immense amount of rain. And it just occurred to me tonight that it must have been especially shocking, because it doesn't rain in India in November. Like, here it just rains whenever it needs to rain, but it's not that way. Like, people are prepared for it in monsoon season, but by the time you get to the dry season, it's so shocking. You know, why would you have such a big rain that it would cause flash floods and things like that? So it was raining, and all the, you know, the people were just afraid, like, what's going to happen? Our cows are going to be swept away, our houses are going to be destroyed, what are we going to do? And because of their love, just their love for Krishna, even though he was a boy, they just naturally said, Krishna, what do we do? Help us. And he said, don't worry, I've got you covered. And so he picked up a mountain called Govardhan Hill. And it's not a mountainous region, Vrindavan. So this hill's kind of an anomaly, like, geographically speaking. And there's a long story about that, but there's a hill that's been there since antiquity. And he picked it up. They say like a child picks up a mushroom, and then he held it on the pinky of his finger, left hand, for 7 days and 7 nights. You know, after which time Indra thought, oh, perhaps I might have made an error here. This is not an ordinary boy. But I was thinking about how they took shelter, and, you know, they took shelter of Krishna, and then they had like an actual umbrella in the form of Govardhan, and they were safe. And not only were they safe, they were experiencing great bliss by having that intimacy and connection, because Krishna was everybody's favorite person. But only a few people lived in his house, you know, so his friends could see him at a certain time when it was playtime, and you know, the young girls who were his secret admirers could see him at other times, and, you know, the moms of the other boys could see him at other times. But this way, like, everybody got to be with him like a household family member for 7 days and 7 nights. And it was just a very special gift of intimacy that he gave them all. And then today I happen to be on a spiritual discussion group with people from a variety of different traditions, and New Age people, astrologers, things like that. And the topic of discussion was like, what do you do? What are your practices to combat the negativity of the mind? And I was thinking that, the mind is like the weather. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's drizzling, and sometimes it's a torrential downpour like today. But these mantras, they're like Govardhan Hill. They're like that shelter. Because what I noticed was a pattern, like, whatever somebody's practices or their background, they were all saying things that were kind of like, in order to break that cycle of like the loopholes of the mind, the loops of the mind, you have to get into a heart space. And generally speaking, through creative endeavors, like a lot of them were talking about how they do painting or they do music or things like that. And I was thinking like, oh, isn't that interesting? Because the mind is, and then one woman practices NLP, so she was talking about how you can actually engineer the mind, like making bad memories better and smaller and, all kinds of things. And I was just thinking like, oh, the mind is really, like, it's literally a tool that you can engineer. But in order to get to that space of peace, you do have to come to your heart. Why is that? Because that's where we live. That's where the soul resides, is in the heart. And that is where the connection comes from. When we're like connecting with the divine, it's from the heart. So I was just really appreciating, this kirtan practice, that it helps us to come to our heart, to connect with Krishna, to be able to take that shelter even when there's a torrential downpour in our mind, which happens more frequently than others sometimes. It just depends on what the weather report is. And then to that end, I thought I would chant this one mantra. The one Draupadi things that's number 3. No. Yes. Yes, that one. Which this one is purportedly sung by Draupadi, and that's a whole nother story. So I was going to promise myself not to eat into Vaishnava Prabhu's time by telling too many stories. But okay. But there was a whole long story where Draupadi was a princess, and more than that, she was really a goddess. With various kind of special divine birth. But there came a point in time where, it was a very long story and I won't go into all the details, but through like circumstances, she had lost her standing and was dragged into an assembly to be disrobed as a slave. Can you imagine? Like just that kind of like horror and insults, especially coming from like a royal background. And they were trying to pull, so traditionally, women would wear this kind of wrapped garment, like now it's saris, I don't know if it's the same back then, but it's a long garment. It's like 7 yards of cloth, all folded up and pleated and stuff. So they were trying to pull it off, and she was holding on to it. But, it was one woman against a big, burly warrior who was doing this under the command of his brother. And she was like, I can't hold on. So she put up one hand. She was like, oh, Krishna, please help me. And nothing happened. And then she was like, I completely surrender. What can I do? And so only when she put up both of her hands and said, hey, Govinda, hey, Gopal, Keshava, when she called out like that with that full surrender, then he kind of reassured her within her heart, don't worry, I'm here with you. And then her sari became unlimited. They couldn't pull it off, no matter how much he pulled. Like he was becoming exhausted, and sweat was coming, and so was the cloth just kept coming. And then it was, everybody understood, that Krishna had protected her because of her devotion. So again, just like with that in mind, that these mantras are so powerful, and we can take so much shelter in them. And that inconceivably, we don't even know how. There's no way you can predict. Oh, that mind wants to do that. Like, I'm going to predict how this situation is going to go, and I'm going to predict how it's going to, like, either fall off a cliff or Krishna will. But no, you never can. It's always going to be something very unexpected, but exactly what you need, and not what you want, but what you need for sure.
What was her name?
Draupadi.
Draupadi.
Mm-hmm. One of her names is also called Yagyaseni, which means born from fire. because she and her brother were actually born out of a sacrificial fire. Oh, and another one of her names, since thanks a good question, thank you for asking. Another one of her names is Krishna. So in Sanskrit, the short A is masculine and the long A is the feminine. So it's like the same, but it's like because she was so close to Krishna, when people saw her, they were reminded of him because she looked like him, so they called her Krishna. So I don't think he's watching, but this one's for you, Kapila, if you're... Hey Govinda, hey Gopal, Keshava,
Hey Govinda, hey Gopal, Keshava, Dina Govinda, Hey Gopala, Keshava Madhava,
Dinadaya Prabhu, Dinadaya, Dinadaya Prabhu, Dinadaya.
Dinadaya Prabhu, Dinadaya, Dinadaya Prabhu,
Hey Govinda, Hey Gopala, Keshava, Dinadaya.
Hey Govinda, Hey Gopala, Keshava Madhava,
Hey Govinda, Hey Gopala, Keshava, Dinadaya.
Hey Govinda, Hey Gopala, Keshava Madhava,
Hey Govinda, hey Gopal, Keshava.